Hey guys, what's going on? Jab here, and in today's video, we have a lot to talk about. Kicking off the video, we're going to be discussing some technical analysis on Bitcoin because, as you guys may have noticed on your charts, Bitcoin has had a bearish cross on the MACD, and ever since we rejected around $10,500, we have pulled back to right now around $10,400. Last night, we pulled back down to $10,200, and in today's video, we're going to be going over the technical landscape on Bitcoin to see what we are going to do next. From there, we're going to be touching on the stock market a little bit because we've just reached 10% correction from the newly set all-time high, set about 30 days ago, and then we're going to be jumping into 3 different news articles, one of them coming out of Bloomberg suggesting that Bitcoin ought to be trading right now based on its fundamentals, as I've been saying, at $15,000. Another article from a CEO saying that they feel that their hundreds of millions of dollars are safer in crypto than the United States dollar. We're not talking about a small company here. And we're also going to be touching on Ethereum at the end of today's video. Guys, we have a massive roster lined up for what we're going to discuss in today's video. I think you're going to really enjoy it. If you do, as always, consider hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 75K subs by the end of the year. But without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. For any of you people out there that know pretty much anything about cameras, you may notice something's a little different in today's video. You might notice I'm missing my hair light that's normally over there, so this side of my face is kind of dark. The reason for that, and this will be brief, everybody who really doesn't care. The reason for that is because that hair light, we had to move to the new studio. I'm recording today's video in this set in case something goes wrong at the office, but more than likely, this video that I'm recording right now, we won't actually end up using. We're going to be recording the exact same video from the new set. So if you're seeing this, it means that something went wrong on recording on the new set, and we will almost certainly have the new video out from there tomorrow. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump onto the chart. RSI on Bitcoin is sitting at 42. Now, the reason I start with that is because we find ourselves in a pretty interesting predicament on Bitcoin. As you guys know, the last few days on Bitcoin have been relatively bearish, but by every technical measurement that we can look at, Bitcoin is relatively close to the bottom. Yes, you might point out the MACD has crossed bearish, as we've discussed that it more than likely would over the last few days, but as we can see on the Fear and Greed Index on Bitcoin, we've already pulled back all the way to 39. For the majority of the last year, that has been the absolute bottom on Fear and Greed. Now, we did see this trough down here, but this was during the height of the Corona fear, and ever since then, Fear and Greed has not dropped below 40. So we're at 39. That's a pretty good indication that we might be about to see a bounce. So guys, look, yeah, we're below the 20 EMA. Yes, we're below 10.5. Yes, we have low volume. But the reason we're not seeing a lot of movement right now is because even though we're bearish, Bitcoin moving much farther to the downside than where it is right now just doesn't make much sense. As I said a few videos ago, I am expecting a pullback to between 9.9K and 10.1K, somewhere in that range. And I reckon what we're going to do is we're going to pull back down here exactly as we did over here, and we're going to bounce, and we're going to rally, and we're going to rally very slowly because there's not much interest in Bitcoin right now, and we're going to fumble around down here until something happens and we break bullish. I don't see something happening and us just randomly breaking bearish, though. We have to understand that Bitcoin is bearish right now, but it quite simply doesn't have much room to run in the downwards direction because we have a rock-solid foundation under us. If we break that, yeah, we're probably going to go into free fall, but the likelihood of that happening is very low, and that's not what the chart, and that's not what the fundamentals are telling us, as we'll get to in a little while. Anyway, I want to touch on the stock market really quickly because something interesting is happening over here, and in fact, the market just opened during the recording of this video, so some things are happening as we record. As you guys are probably aware, SPY hit an all-time high of 340 points back in February of this year, and then as a result of the massive stimulus package called the CARES Act that launched in March, and many other factors such as companies sitting on massive quantities of cash that helped them get through this corona pandemic, we saw the S&P 500 and the SPY in this matter hit new highs at around 360 points. Ever since then, though, we have seen them pull back of now, as the market has opened today, 11%. And the script for this video is 10%, but it's pulled back another percentage point since it opened in the last 10 minutes. It's interesting to see the stock market being this volatile because normally you don't see the stock market be quite this volatile or moving 10% in the span of just a month, even less than a month. And I think it speaks to the times that we are in right now. Guys, I don't think the stock market's going to crash and burn, and a lot of people in crypto are just completely anti-stock market, and I don't think that's a healthy state of mind for us to be in. I think there is a very good reason for us to diversify out of Bitcoin and have even maybe half of our portfolio, even more than half of our portfolio in stocks because it's safer, but at the same time, we also need need to understand that the stock market is going to be more affected by these major economic forces like the corona pandemic, what happened with oil earlier this year, the hits the travel industry has taken. Those kind of things are going to impact the stock market in a bigger way than it will do to Bitcoin. Really in-depth video coming out on that in about 2 weeks. Get hyped for that because I think you guys are going to love it. Anyway, with that, I want to jump onto a couple of news articles because I want to make sure in these videos we're covering as much as we possibly can, as quick as we possibly can, so that we're able to deliver the highest density of value to you guys as possible. So with that said, let's jump on to something that Bloomberg just said. Bloomberg suggests that Bitcoin should be $15,000 according to this adoption metric. Their belief, so we're talking about Bloomberg, the organization, not Bloomberg, the man here, their belief seems to be that Bitcoin is destined to appreciate unless these key indicators reverse themselves. Bitcoin active addresses, the 30-day average. Source, Glassnode. So essentially what Bloomberg was saying here is, as you can see over here on this Glassnode chart, since we have about exactly 1 million active addresses even on a 30-day average right now, if we were to look back to the last time in Bitcoin history that happened, Bitcoin was trading at or around $15,000 to $17,000. As you guys can see, especially if we remove price action, this is the last 3 years of active address data. We have more active addresses in Bitcoin now than we have in the last 3 years. The only time we saw active addresses this high was during the peak, the very peak of the 2017 bull market. And by the way, guys, the bull market that we're in right now has only just started. When we hit this number of active addresses previously, we were at the very end of the bull market after 2 years of bull market. If you look at the technical indicators, we only technically started the bull market about 3 months ago. So this is big news, not only for the fact that this suggests that the absolute high of this bull market will be significantly higher than $20,000, it means that Bitcoin is undervalued right now in comparison to how many active addresses there are. And even though we might be $4,000 undervalued according to this chart, we might not actually be undervalued because there was a lot of hype in the market that is not present now back in 2017. With that said, that number of active addresses is continuing to march higher by the day, and as it does, we will invariably see more investment and more money flow into Bitcoin, which is, of course, a bullish factor. That ties into our volume and our retail investor interest fundamentals that we look at all the time. I would encourage you to pay attention to this chart, and I would encourage you to get an account on Glassnode because there are some very important charts over there that we'll be looking at more. Anyway, moving on, I want to talk about what a CEO named Michael Saylor has to say about Bitcoin. CEO Michael Saylor says the Federal Reserve's recent relaxing of its inflation policy helped convince him to put the remainder of the enterprise software maker's cash into our favorite cryptocurrency. We feel pretty confident that Bitcoin is less risky than holding United States dollars, less risky than holding gold. One of those is the most powerful currency on the planet and the most powerful currency in the history of mankind that's been around for 250 years. And the other is an element that we've been trading for 6,000 years or more. And here we have someone who, considering they run a $500 million company, probably knows what they're talking about, saying that they feel that their money is safer in Bitcoin than the dollar. I mean, look at this guy. Wouldn't you want to take financial advice from him? Come on now. Look at that. Look at that jawline. Come on. This summer, MicroStrategy became the first public company to invest the lion's share of its treasury in Bitcoin. In mid-August, the company announced it had purchased $250 million of the cryptocurrency, and on September 15th, Saylor bought an additional $175 million worth of Bitcoin. He intends to continue buying with cash from operations. So we're not talking about a little startup like our McAfee Media here that runs this channel. We're not talking about like 10 employees. We're talking about a serious player in business. This is not a small company. When you start getting into the $500 million range, you're talking about serious players on the world stage. And this is a continuing trend that we have seen happen over the last several months, even the last couple of years in Bitcoin, of major power players on the global stage standing behind Bitcoin. No longer are we talking about, oh, look, there's an ATM in this one convenience store that I like to buy Starbucks from. We're talking about people that are worth billions putting their reputation, and in this case, their own money on the line because they trust Bitcoin. Have you ever noticed whenever there's an advertisement, specifically in sports and in technology, there's almost always a celebrity on the face of that advertisement? It's because we intuitively know that if a celebrity likes it, then we should like it. Not saying that that's logical, but that's how our brain works. In this case, it is logical because these people understand money. They built businesses. They're running businesses. They understand money. They understand economics. They understand finances. They understand what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they're making informed decisions. And they're making decisions to put literally hundreds of millions of dollars into Bitcoin. That speaks power to our journey to mass adoption, and I'm very happy about it. But one thing that we have to understand is that For example, the new iPhone coming out on Apple, a lot of people are speculating that's going to drive Apple stock to the moon, relatively speaking, though. So we might see 30% return on Apple. Sounds like a lot, but a lot of people are saying speculate on the smaller companies that are going to gain a few thousand percentage points from this new Apple iPhone launch. I'm not going to get into that in today's video, but it's something you should look into. In the same way, Bitcoin does still have massive returns, but we're starting to get into the point where Bitcoin has rallied so far that we may have missed the 10,000% return, so we want to start looking to some top altcoins instead to make the lion's share of our returns. This is where Ethereum comes in. We're going to be doing an entire video on what I'm about to talk about, but I do want to mention it right now. Ethereum closer than ever to ETH 2.0 with Sapdino Launchpad live on September 29th. Not only is this update going to bring about the long talked about proof of stake algorithm on Ethereum that we've been discussing for years on this channel now, it's also going to allow Ethereum to handle more transactions. It's also going to continue to advance the foundations of one of the most important altcoins in the entire industry, Ethereum. We have an entire subset of our industry, DeFi, being built on top of decentralized applications over on Ethereum. It's very important that the foundation of Ethereum is strong. And I'm going to be honest with you, before this launch, I'm going to buy a ton of Ethereum. I already have a bunch of it because I'm betting on this project. It's shown that it's a good investment in recent years. And if you're looking for a 1,000% return, you might get it on Bitcoin, but I'm pretty sure you're going to get it in Ethereum if you give it a few years. So guys, that's my take on the market. Before we go, I do want to mention that this channel is sponsored by Bybit. They were kind enough to reach out to us with that affiliate link down below. We didn't ask for it. They reached out to us. So thank you to Bybit for sponsoring this channel. By the way, I love Bybit. It's where I do my trading. But if you're not an experienced trader, I would be careful of using leverage on Bybit because you can easily get wrecked. It might as well be a casino with leverage if you don't know what you're doing. But if you do know what you're doing, you want to help to support this channel and you want to get access to a great exchange that has good, strong values, I would encourage you to use our link down below. Like I said, it helps out this channel. You're helping to build the content that we are bringing to you guys for free here on YouTube. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.